Mataji in English from Canto 3, Chapter 14, verses 19 to 36. And also at 8:40 today, Hema Mataji will be singing the bhajan, Bhaju Reman Sri Nandanandana, and Dear Shavin will be doing the English translation before the bhajan. Thank you. Hare Krishna. So Kusum Mataji, Ram
Hare
Prabhuji, whenever you are ready, can you please start with invocation? Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yam Ahuratmano Heyardham Shreyas Kamasya Manini. Yes, yes, Yasyasma Swaduram Adhasya Pumam Karti Vijavaraha.
O respectful one, a wife is so helpful that she is called the better half of a man's body because of her sharing in all auspicious activities. A man can move without anxiety, entrusting all responsibilities to his wife.
Yam Asritiendriyaratin Durjayan Itar Saramahe. व्यायाम जायम जयम हेलाभिर दास्युन दुर्गापतिर यथा.
As the fort commander very easily conquers invading plunderers by taking shelter of a wife, one can conquer the senses which are inconquerable in other social orders.
नवयं प्रभावास्तं त्वं अनु अनुकरतुं ग्रहेश्वरी ग्रहे ग्रहेश्वरी आप्यायुषा आयुष्यावाकार्यस्नेन ये चान्ये गुणा ग्रहन्नावः.
O Queen of the home, we are not able to act like you, nor could we repay you for what you have done, even if we have worked for our entire life or even after death. To repay you is not possible, even for those who are admirers of personal qualities.
तथापि काममेतं ते प्रजाया प्रजातया ये कर्वाण्याय यथा मां नातिरोचन्ति मुहूर्ते प्रतिपालय.
Even though it is not possible to repay you, I shall satisfy your sex desire immediately for the sake of begetting children. But you must wait for only a few seconds so that others may not reproach me.
एषा घोरतमा वेला घोराणां घोरदर्शना चरन्ति यस्मायां भूतानि भूतेशानुचराणि हया.
This particular time is most inauspicious because at this time the horrible looking ghosts and constant companions of the Lord of the ghosts are visible.
एतस्यां सात्वी सन्ध्यायां भगवान् भूतभावनः परितो भूता परासादवीर् वर्षेनातति भूतराट.
Lord Shiva, the king of the ghosts, sitting on the back of his bull carrier, travels at this time accompanied by ghosts who follow him for their welfare.
समासना चक्रनीला धूलिधूम्र विकर्मा विद्योति जात कलापः भस्मावगुण्ठामल्ला रुक्मदेहो देवस्त्रीभिः पश्यति देवरस्ते.
Lord Shiva's body is reddish and he is unstained, but he is covered with ashes. His hair is dusty from the whirlwind dust of the burning crematorium. He is the, He's the younger brother of your husband, and he sees with his three eyes.
न यस्य लोके स्वजनपरो वा नात्याद्रतो नोते कश्चिद्विग्रहे वयं व्रतिर्यचरणामपि चरणापविद्याम् आसास्माहे जम्बत भुक्तभोगाम्.
Lord Shiva regards no one as his relative, yet there is no one who is not connected with him. He does not regard anyone as very favorable or abominable. We respectfully worship the remnants of his foodstuff, and we vow to accept what is rejected by him.
यस्नान्यवद्धाचरितं मनीषिणो गुणत्य विद्यापटलं विवित्सौ निरस्तसाम्यातिशयोऽपि यतः स्वयं पिशाचर्या आचरति गतिं सताम्.
Although no one in the material world is equal to or greater than Lord Shiva, and although his unimpeachable character is followed by great souls to dismantle the mass of nescience, he nevertheless remains as if a devil to give salvation to all devotees of the Lord.
असन्ति यस्याचरितं हि दुरबुद्घा स्वातं स्वात्वम् अनुमृतस्या विदुषे समिहितम् ये वस्त्रमाल्याभरणानुलेपने है प्रभोजनं स्वात्मतयोपलालितम्.
Unfortunate, foolish persons, not knowing that he is engaged in his own self, laugh at him. Such foolish persons engage in maintaining the body, which is eatable by dogs, with dresses, ornaments, garlands, and ointments.
ब्रह्मादयो यत्कृतसेतुपाला यत्कारणं विश्वमिदं च माया आज्ञाकर्यस्य पिशाच्चर्या अहो विभुमनस्य चरितं विडम्बनम्.
Demigods like Brahma also follow the religious rites observed by him. He is the controller of the material energy, which causes the creation of the material world. He is great, and therefore his devilish characteristics are simply imitation.
मित्रेय उवाच शिवं सविद्यते भर्ता 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 मनमथोत्मतीतेन्द्रिय जाग्राय वासो ब्रह्म स बमारस्य शेर्वर्ष्यलीवा गतात्रपा.
Maitreya said, Diti was thus informed by her husband, but she was pressed by Cupid for sexual satisfaction. She caught hold of the clothing of the great Brahmana sage just like a shameless public prostitute.
सा विदित्वता भार्यास्यस्तां निर्बन्धनम् विक्रमाणि नत्वा दिष्ट्या रहसि तया तोपविशेष हि.
Understanding his wife's purpose, he was obliged to perform the forbidden act, and thus, after offering his obeisances unto worshipable fate, he lay with her in a secluded place.
यथोपस्रप्रस्य सलीलं प्राणानायाम्येवाज्ञेयते ध्यायञ्जना जजाप विरजं ब्रह्म ज्योतिः सनातनम्.
Thereafter, the Brahmana took his bath in the water and controlled his speech by practicing trance, meditating on the eternal effulgence, and chanting the holy Gayatri hymns with his mouth.
इतिस्तु विधृता तेन कर्मावधेन भारतः उपसंगगम्य विभर्षसिम् आदो मुख्या अभासता.
O son of the Bharata family, Diti after this went nearer to her husband, Her face lowered because of a faulty action. She spoke as follows.
दितिरुवाचे न मे गर्भमिमं ब्रह्मन् भूतनां अवदिते रुद्रपतिर्यभूतानां यस्याकरवं समम्.
The beautiful Diti said, "My dear Brahmana, kindly see that my embryo is not killed by Lord Shiva, the Lord of all living entities, because of the great offenses I have committed against him."
नमो रुद्राय महते देवाय मीडुसे शिवाय न्यस्तदण्डाय धृतादण्डाय मन्यवे.
Let me offer my obeisances unto the angry Lord Shiva, who is simultaneously the very ferocious, great demigod and the fulfiller of all material desires. He is all auspicious and forgiving, but his anger can immediately move him to chastise.
सेन प्रसीदतां भामो भागवान उर्व अनुग्रह व्यावध्यास्यापि अनुकम्पयानं स्त्रियाणां देवं सतीपतिः.
Let him be pleased with us, since he is my brother in law, the husband of my sister Sati. He is also the worshipable Lord of all women. He is the personality of all opulences and can show mercy towards women who are excused even by the uncivilized hunters.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think we'll stop here.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji and Prabhuji, for the very nice recitation. Thank you, Kusum
Thank
Mataji.
you so much for giving us the opportunity. Hare Krishna.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hi, Krishna. Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can, Prabhuji. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Mataji. Thank you, Ram Prabhu, for recitation of the Sanskrit, and I think it's Kusum meant for the recitation in English, translation in English. Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody, to today's topic of chat from the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Canto 3, Status Quo. The chapter that we're reading is chapter 14, Pregnancy of DT in the Evening. The verses we're reading today is verses 33, 36. Today's 15th of June. My name is Krishna Govinda Das. Please say some humble obeisances, everyone. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narotanam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraye Nastashva Bhadrashu Nitya Bhagavatam Sevaya Bhagavatamutam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Sorry, I forgot to share the screen. Just wanted to check. Can you see that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can.
Thank you, Mataji, once again. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 14, verse 33. Titeshta vritita tena kamavatyena bharata upasangamya viprashim adho abhaya bhashata. Translation. A son of the Bharata family Diti, after this, when nearer to her husband, her face lowered because of her faulty actions, she spoke as follows. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. When one is ashamed of an abominable action, one naturally becomes down-faced. Diti came to her senses after the abominable sexual intercourse with her husband. Such sexual intercourse is condemned as prostitution. In other words, sex life with one's wife is equal to prostitution. The regulations are not properly followed. Okay, just recite the introduction prayers. Please do join in. Om Jnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rapakadam Maya Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shivishakamitam Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sate Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining in for today's chat class. First of all, I'd like to, for my respectful obeisances to my spiritual master, Solinus Bhakti Swami, Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Pishtai Bhutale, Shrimate Bhakti Swami Tinamane, and to his founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Pishtai Bhutale, Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamane, Namaste Saraswati Devam, Gauravana Vajayane, Nirvishesa Sunyavadi Paschachara Desatarana. Kind of seek the blessings and also the blessings of all the Vaishnavas and devotees listening on today's class, that I may be able to speak something which is truthful, beneficial, and pleasing on the wonderful topics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the recitation of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you. So just going back to this verse, just to set the scene. Maitreya Muni is actually speaking this narration to Vidura, who's one of the Pandus, one of the dynasty from the Pandavas, the earlier uncle of the Pandavas. So here he's asking certain questions to Maitreya, and he's constantly asking him more about the topics about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Maitreya Muni is talking about this particular story, the Leela of where Diti is actually very anxious, very desirable, wanting to have sex with her husband Kashyapa Muni at a time which is inappropriate. It's an auspicious time where Lord Shiva is actually circumambulating the universe with his entourage of followers. They could be obviously good personalities, but they could also be considered to be of a lower class of people as well, or personalities like goblins, hobgoblins, ghosts, as described in some of the translation. So it's an appropriate time, but still she has this desire to have an intercourse with her husband, but her husband, already a very pure devotee, is already worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, and is already meditating on the Supreme Lord. And at this time, when Diti sort of disturbs him, he also gets disturbed in his mind and is not able to say no to her because she's saying certain things in a pleasing way. And from the previous verses, or the translation, it mentions about the qualities of a woman when she's very obedient, very loyal to her husband. Her husband is duty bound to serve her in such a way to please her, even though he may feel that it's not a correct sort of activity. But the husband, of course, is obviously the whole Leela is taken place by, of course, the Supreme Lord's will. So certain things, certain activities is beyond the control of a certain individual. I won't go so much into detail of the purport itself because it's a topic I'm not very familiar with. But it actually explains about Kashyapa Muni, which I mentioned previously. Kashyapa Muni is a great personality. He's married to Diti. Diti has another sister called Aditi. Kashyapa Muni has 13 wives, And one of the sisters of Diti and Aditi is Sati Devi. Sati Devi is the wife of Lord Shiva. So Diti, when she procreated, her lineage was of the demonic race, who started off like the great demons like Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyayaksha, whereas for her sister Aditi, she gave birth to noble personalities like the demigods, Lord Indra, Vayu, and then all the lineage from that particular line of demigods itself. So they were always a competition with each other, the devas and the demigods against the demons, as we can see from the Leela, from the churning of the ocean, which I'll explain a little later on, when they wanted to get what did they call it? The elixir of mortality. But it's important to understand that, this is a consequence of certain behavior that's happened at an appropriate time, inauspicious time. It wasn't very favorable at all. So sometimes when you do certain activities, whether you're getting married, whether you're having procreation, whether you're actually looking at anything in life, to ensure that it's done during the time of a good sort of favorable time, you find that particular answer by an authorized astrologer. And it's important just to find not just any old astrologer, but somebody who's reputable, somebody who's not just trying to take your money, try to win your heart by saying favorable things when it's not really true. Sometimes certain things that astrologers say may not always be favorable, but they certainly give you ideas what to do in the course of life if you are going through certain difficulties. So if they actually consulted some sort of authority, then certainly certain events would have happened, which causes unnecessary burden to society, unwanted progeny, disturbed children who are unruly behaved. As you can see in the case where Diti wanted to have an intercourse with her husband, it was at an appropriate time, as I mentioned, but the consequences was that the procreation took place, but because she was really, really sorry for her situation, she actually came and wanted to apologize to her husband and ask for forgiveness, and also ask for forgiveness for Lord Shiva, which we'll discuss a bit later on. But yes, if there's an appropriate thing that happens, then it causes consequences. It causes the family to be destroyed, removes all auspiciousness in one's life, prosperity is removed as well, happiness and love diminishes. So it's important to actually take the favorite sort of ideas or the favorable duties that one's supposed to follow as dictated or as narrated, not dictated, as narrated in the Bhagavatam and the scriptures, and by the authorities as well. But sometimes we certainly repent ourselves when we do certain things in our life. We feel very guilty. There's certain things that we've done that we shouldn't have done, maybe indulging in certain things, certain activities, perhaps going against the principles of spiritual Sanatana Dharma, breaking the four regulated principles, certain habits that we may have had before coming into Christian consciousness that we're supposed to avoid: no drugs, no meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication. But the influence of Maya is very strong. The influence of bad association is very strong. The it's actually when we actually become a Krishna conscious devotee, it's almost a declaration that we are at war with the illusory energy of Maya. So Prabhupada mentions that quite often in his purports, that we're in war with Maya. So we have to be very vigilant, we have to be very strong, we have to be very determined, we have to be practical, we have to be patient, we have to understand what is the consequences of what's happened in our life. You hear about the stories all the time in the news where somebody's had an affair with somebody else, causes divorces, causes so much disruption to the family, children's livelihood is destroyed, they go astray from their family, and you can see unnecessarily burden not only with the husband, the wife, with the children, the parents-in-laws, the whole society goes downhill when certain activities are taken or rather certain activities that you shouldn't be doing, which is prohibited, and you take that sort of action. I know somebody was telling me many years ago that the lady at work, she actually had a divorce from her husband. She was an Indian couple because the husband was constantly gambling, in fact, gambled all the salary away. They had a joint account, but she just seemed to have trusted him. But he used all that salary just to gamble away, even though they had children and everything. And she was so devastated, completely destroyed her life. They had to almost remortgage the house because they were in such a debt. But I just wanted to show you one particular verse from the Bhagavad Gita, because certainly we all have done some sort of sinful activities, and we feel a bit of repent, we feel remorse, we feel distraught. We pray to Krishna, Krishna, please guide me, please put me back on the righteous path. Certain activities and uh, calamities that's happened because of my sort of misdoing. So if I show you this verse, it's a very beautiful verse from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 30. Chapter 9 is the most confidential knowledge. Apicha duracharo pajate mamananyabhak sadhueva samantavya samyak vyavasitoi saha. Translation: even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. So this is a very beautiful verse. So because a saintly person may have done something wrong, it may not have done in a deliberate manner or something which was ordained, something that may have happened that considered him to do certain a sinful reaction. But you must understand that he's not completely fallen down, neither should we diminish him or mitigate his purity just because he's fallen down. Somebody may take up to having a cigarette or something because they've had this attachment or this addiction before they came into the spiritual movement. And because of that, they wanted some sort of enlightenment in themselves. We all have our spiritual identities, of course, but we feel that at the beginning stages, we are very, very much into Krishna consciousness, chanting, reading, taking prasadam, seeing the beautiful lordships, being in the association of devotees. But we all go through a certain cycle in our life, even spiritually advanced devotees fall down as well. As we mentioned last week in the class, great sages have fallen down. It's important to understand that they may have fallen down temporary, but Krishna always takes care of their spiritual path. So we shouldn't actually judge them. We shouldn't mistreat them. We shouldn't try to criticize them or, show blasphemy against them and, how do you call it? Gossip about them that they've fallen down. And I do recall one person, he used to constantly phone me up and he used to tell me, "Oh, did you know this devotee's done that? Did you know this devotee's done that?" And I had to literally tell him, "Look, please don't waste my time phoning me up regarding what's going on in the temple or some situation between one person and another person. It's none of my business. Neither do I want to know. What happens, it just contaminates your mind. It makes you feel ill of that devotee. It makes you think little or less of that devotee. Who knows? Somebody could be talking about me, just somebody else, and they may say ill things about me. I certainly don't want somebody thinking ill about me. I'm sure many of you don't want somebody talking about you if you have done something wrong. We all have a certain privilege in our life that we need to forgive ourselves, repent ourselves, and move on back into our spiritual path. So here in the purport, I'll just paraphrase it for you a little bit. Prabhupada actually mentions that within the living entity, he is actually there are two kinds of activities. One is conditional and the other is constitutional. So in the conditional life, we always have to follow certain rules, certain regulations, and from the material aspect, the laws of the government, to understand that we are actually following the law as set out by the government itself. And that is called conditional. We're conditioned by certain laws. Similarly, we're also conditioned by the laws of nature, in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. And also from a spiritual identity, we're also conditional because we want to follow what is written, what is observed by the Shastras, by following our spiritual peers. We have to ensure that we don't go astray from that path of spiritual activities that we want to pursue to see the Supreme Personality's lotus feet. But on the other hand, there's the other abilities. Sometimes where one is actually more advanced, one actually knows his particular role is not just a matter of rules and regulations, it's actually a matter of spiritual principles of actually purifying one's heart, removing all the sinful anarthas in one's life, attaining salvation, attaining perfection, attaining level of purity. And that is called the constitutional, or transcendental. That devotional service that you perform is always called transcendental. It is not aggravated by any sort of material contamination whatsoever. Now, further along, it mentions that both of these could go side by side, the conditional life and also the constitutional life. Sometimes they work together in harmony, sometimes it could have an opposite effect. But that opposite effect is where one becomes slightly disturbed, one becomes unfavorable, one becomes a bit, feeling certain negativity about their spiritual journey, about other people, about certain things that they may hear, or this management and that management, and where's the funds going, how is it utilized? So many things that goes on in our mind that we should really affect us in our spiritual journey. Certainly, Krishna knows if somebody's performing some offenses within the society of Krishna consciousness or any spiritual organization, certainly they will be dealt with by the Supreme Lord Himself. It's not to say that we should ask questions, it's not that we should try and just hide it underneath the carpet. We should also be thoughtful in our spiritual journey, making sure certain things aren't going astray, because if we do that, we're also slightly ignorant and we absorb some of the suffer reaction too. Just like Arjuna, he did not want to fight on the battlefield, but Krishna told him it's your duty, it's your duty as a Kshatriya to fight. And we as devotees have a duty to ensure Dharma is upheld at all times. So it's another verse that Srila Prabhupada mentions in this particular verse, in this purport from the Nrsimha Purana. Bhagavati cha haravanya chaita pisha malino pi virajate manushya nahi shasha kalusha chabai kadachit timira parabhavatam paiti chandraha. The meaning is that even if one fully engaged in the devotional service of the Lord is sometimes found engaged in abominable activities, these activities should be considered to be like spots that resemble the mark of a rabbit on the moon. Such spots do not become an impediment to the diffusion of moonlight. Similarly, the accidental fall down of a devotee from the path of saintly character does not make him abominable. So here is quite self-explanatory. Srila in the verse that Thakur mentions about certain defects a particular person might have, a saintly person, you may see somebody, well, that may not be in accordance to the principles of spiritual authorities, but it's not to become judgmental about that particular personality. We don't know exactly the full story behind certain activities that may have taken place. But also importantly, Srila Prabhupada actually mentions further on, we should not use this as an excuse to commit sinful activities and at the same time thinking that the Supreme Lord is all compassionate, all forgiving, all merciful, that He will forgive us. Sometimes you hear devotees say, "Oh, Gaudita, you're very merciful. You don't need to do a full sort of opulent sort of offering to them. You don't need to have so much love and affection as you would do as if they were installed." Of course, that's down to each individual devotee. If you're having the Supreme Lord come reside in your house on an altar, then it's your duty not only to look after these guests, but they're also the proprietor of this house that you live in. They've given you that privilege of living the way you are, given you the wealth, the health, the care, the affection, the attention, the knowledge, the ability to do certain things to make it comfortable and favorable and devotional for the Supreme Lord. So it's not just that the Lord is very merciful, that you could just whimsically just do an offering and that's it. No, it's down to your heart. It's your level of devotion. Each one is on a different level, just like in our career, everyone's on a different level. But it's important that you actually serve the Lordship in such a way that He is pleased by performing arati, by performing an offering, by performing certain seva, looking after them, kirtan, chanting, as we always say, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dashyam, Sakyam, Atma, Nivedanam. So important to follow these principles of devotional service to not just take care of yourself in your spiritual journey, but also those who are associated with you, your wife, your family, your children, your parents, uncles, neighbors, colleagues who are favorable to you as well. So performing uh, committed civil activities does not give you a license to do whatever you want and then Krishna will forgive you. No, it's not the case at all. Krishna is always um, favorable to his devotees, always protected the devotees. He knows that his devotees will never perish. But you as an individual have to ensure that we prevent ourselves from a fall down, prevent certain things or activities just because a devotee has done certain things. That doesn't give us a right to do the same thing. That may not be pleasing to Srila Prabhupada and the Parampara. Okay. Also, as I mentioned earlier on, about committing sinful activities and expecting the Supreme Lord to forgive you, just like on the 7th verse from the offenses from the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Does anybody know that particular verse, the 7th offense against chanting the holy name of the Lord? Okay, I'll share it quickly with you. Is to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. So when we're chanting the holy name, it's not to say that we could do whatever we want and expect our sinful reactions to be freed by chanting the holy name. Of course, the holy name, when chanted with purity, with devotion, with love, affection, certainly the holy name is not different from the Supreme Lord. And it comes to protect you, takes care of you, purifies the heart, removes all the anathas within one's mind, body, and spirit. But to constantly doing civil activities on the strength of the holy name is forbidden. Okay, text 34. Oh yeah, the other thing I forgot to mention as well, if you do commit offense unknowingly or knowingly, certainly in your best intentions, don't commit an offense to the devotee. Don't commit an offense in a way that's displeasing to the devotees, because when you actually make an offense to the devotee, then of course it's considered to be like a mad elephant offense. When you see a mad elephant running around in a beautiful garden, it just completely creates havoc within the beautiful, serene garden with beautiful ornaments, flower arrangements. The elephant, because of his clumsiness, destroys it all. That's exactly what happens to our devotional creeper. That seed of devotional life within the heart completely diminishes when we make offenses to the devotees. So just have to be careful with that. Text 34. Titi vacha name garbhamimam brahman bhutan nam rishabhavadit rudrapati hi bhutanam yasha karavamaham ahasam. Translation: the beautiful deity said, "My dear Brahmana, kindly just try and mute yourself, please. Thank you." The beautiful deity said, "My dear Brahmana, kindly say that my embryo is not killed by Lord Shiva, the Lord of all living entities, because of the great offense I have committed against him." Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Deity was conscious of her offense and was anxious to be excused by Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva has two popular names, Rudra and Ashutosh. He is very prone to anger as well as quickly pacified. Deity knew that because of his being quickly angered that he might spoil the pregnancy she had so unlawfully achieved. But because he was also Ashutosh, She implored her Brahmana husband to help her in pacifying Lord Shiva, for her husband was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. In other words, Lord Shiva might have been angry with Diti because she obliged her husband to transgress the law, but he would not refuse her husband's prayer. Therefore, the application for excuse was submitted through her husband. She prayed to Lord Shiva as follows. So once again, Aditi is actually coming to her husband Kashyapa to ask for forgiveness, to pray to Lord Shiva that he doesn't kill the embryo because of the great offense that she has committed. She also addresses Lord Shiva to be like Rudra, who's very, very ferocious, very powerful, is the cause of destruction to this material manifestation, is easily very displeased, and if you disturb him in any way, certainly he won't take any kindness. But on the other hand, Lord Shiva is also Ashutosh. He's considered to be the greatest Vaishnava of Lord Vishnu. He's a great devotee, and normally devotees pray to him to allow for connection to the Supreme Lord. Just like the gopis, they were praying to Lord Shiva for having Lord Krishna as their husband. So here's when she's praying to Kashyapa, because Kashyapa is also a great devotee of Lord Shiva, she may think, well, if I go directly to Lord Shiva, he may be very angry. But if I go through my husband, like a mediator, like just like a boy or a girl may do something wrong, they may go to somebody who's more favorable to, like a father or mother, to say, oh, what they've done wrong because they don't want to be chastised. And then eventually that partner has to tell the other partner who may get angry, but because he's sort of broken the barrier, they may not be so angry to the child when they've done a mistake. So similarly, Diti, when she goes to her husband, she's asking, please, please, please pray to Lord Shiva that he's not actually angry for the offense that I've committed, especially in destroying the embryo. There's nothing worse than a mother feeling ill, feeling guilty, feeling sad, feeling sorrow when their newborn child is actually killed before it's even been born. It's such a sad, devastating effect because in your mind, you're always constantly thinking how the child would have been, how they would have grown up, how they would have taken care of her, how they would have sort of been the love of their life as well in so many ways. When a woman loses a child in the form of an embryo, it's so devastating it is. She also felt the reason why she felt like this, because she also felt that she made a mistake. And just like we were saying earlier on, when you repent from a mistake that we made, we must immediately realize that mistake that we made, then at least is mitigated. Just like a criminal, they realize that they made a mistake when they go in front of a judge. The judge may give them a very, very long sentence. But if the criminal realizes the mistake that they made, asks for forgiveness, asks for pardon, he didn't realize what he did, it was done in ignorance, the judge may be very favorable and a bit more compassionate, give him a sentence which is of something which is more acceptable than rather than giving him a harsh punishment. Verse 35. I did say I was going to finish at 8:30. I'll go on just 5 more minutes before the bhajan is sung. Verse 35. Namo Radhaya Mahate Deva Yograya Meduse Shivaya Nyasta Dandaya Dita Dandaya Manyave. Translation, let me offer my obeisances to the angry Lord Shiva, simultaneously the very ferocious great demigod, the filler of all material desires. Is all auspicious and forgiven, but his anger can immediately move him to chastise. Purport. Duty prayed for the mercy of Lord Shiva very cleverly. She prayed, the Lord can cause me to cry, but if he likes, he can also stop my crying because he is Ashutosh, very easily pleased. He's so great that if he likes, he can immediately destroy my pregnancy, but by his mercy, he can also fulfill my desire that my pregnancy not be spoiled. Because he is all auspicious, it is not difficult for him to excuse me from being punished. Although he is now ready to punish me because I have moved his great anger, he appears like a man, but he is the Lord of all men. So I explained a little bit earlier on about how Dita is very feeling remorse, feeling repentant, and she's asking to pray for forgiveness, even though she realizes that he could be very displeased that he could destroy pregnancy, but at the same time, it's hoping that he's actually very pleased in the form of Ashutosh, that he doesn't destroy the embryo and allow for the child to be born through his natural uh, birth. We also feel like that sometimes in our own lives. Sometimes we do certain things and we realize that we have a dual personality. We can be very kind-hearted, very nice to certain people that we like, we're favorable. We have a certain personality when we're at the temple. I know Gopal Prabhu once mentioned a talk where they used to see a couple, and the couple used to be very nice, very humble, very polite at the temple. And it just so happened one day he was traveling in the husband's car on the way back home, dropping him off or dropping Gopal off, and his wife phoned up, and by accident it was on a loudspeaker call, and she started chastising the husband. Where are you? Why are you taking so long? And so forth. So sometimes we have these certain qualities that we don't realize, that we could be very nice, naive, very kind, serving devotees, wanting to do service, wanting to get some attention, recognition. But on the other hand, we could have a different personality, completely different at home. I have to admit, even myself, before I got married, I thought I had a particular personality, quiet, just get it on with my whole life, and without disturbing anybody else. But when you get married, you have a different, certain quality within you. You become impatient, you become rude, you become certain different kind of natured person. Then only by through practice of devotional life, by certain spiritual practice, by understanding certain mistakes that I've made, I've realized that things I shouldn't have done, I could have avoided it in so many ways. We have to remember that we have to also remember we have to realize the mistakes that we made. We have to deal with it straight away. Don't hang on to it again and again. Don't disturb somebody else's mind. Don't disturb your own life as well, because otherwise, only anger comes out of your life, frustration, uh, the lack of love, care, affection for anybody around you. You get irritated by other people, whether they're nice or bad self. Um, the last verse, I'll just quickly read, verse 36. Sana Pashidatam Bamo Bhagavan Urvanugraha Vidya Shapyi Olkampyanam Strinam Deva Satipati. Translation. Let him be pleased with us, since he is my brother-in-law, the husband of my sister Sati. He is also the worshipable Lord of all women. Is the personality of all opulences to show mercy towards women, who are excused even by the uncivilized hunters. Purport. Lord Shiva is the husband of Sati, one of the sisters of Diti. Diti invoked the pleasure of her sister Sati so that Sati would request her husband to excuse her. Besides that, Lord Shiva is the worshipable Lord of all women, is naturally very kind towards women, on whom even the uncivilized hunters also show their mercy. Since Lord Shiva is himself associated with women, he knows very well their defective nature, and he might not take very seriously Dita's unavoidable offense, which occurred due to her faulty nature. Every virgin girl is supposed to be a devotee of Lord Shiva. Dita remembered her childhood worship of Lord Shiva, begged his mercy. So it just explains Lord Shiva's greatness. Lord Shiva, as we mentioned earlier on, his Ashutosh, easily pleased. He is actually the protector of the universe. He drank the poison from the ocean, which was accumulated because of the journey of the Mandara mountain, using the Vasuki snake between the demons and the demigods when they were churning this mountain of gold to get the nectar of elixir for immortality. And through the churning of this particular mountain, the ocean became contaminated, got filled with poison. Lord Shiva, by his mercy, he drank that poison, swallowed all of that poison. Of course, none of us could do that at all, not even a drop of poison can we take? But Lord Shiva is indestructible. It actually mentions in one of the classes by Srila Prabhupada with his devotees, one of the devotees, Shyama Prabhu, one of the first devotees, came to London, England. 3 couples came, Shyama with his wife Malati, the daughter Saraswati had come. They were talking to Srila Prabhupada and asking about that the demigods have certain personalities, but do we know that the soul can also impart, or rather be transmigrated to the soul or have the body of a demigod, a great demigod, who's taking care of the heavenly kingdoms or the material kingdoms. Prabhupada, he meant, Shyamachandra Prabhu mentioned about Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, and Prabhupada mentioned, no, not Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is eternal. You cannot have the soul of Lord Shiva, whereas Brahma, you can. He's the topmost human being or topmost personality. Not human being, beg pardon. It's the topmost personality. Lord Shiva is considered to be eternal. It's like a transformation of Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu, when we see Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it transforms into Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is considered to be a partial manifestation of Lord Vishnu. Just like when you see the analogy Prabhupada gives, you can see milk turning into curd, but curd cannot be turned into milk. So in the form of Lord Vishnu turning or transforming into Lord Shiva cannot be transformed back into Lord Vishnu. So these are wonderful, beautiful pastimes of Lord Shiva. And finally, I wanted to share the story of Lord Krishna and the gopis, where the gopis were coming naked in front of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna said, you committed unaffairs. Now you've got to pray to Lord Shiva for, forgiveness, and also to Lord Shiva, if you want me to be your husband, to pray to Lord Shiva. So when you go to Vrindavan, a lot of devotees who go to Vrindavan, one of the first temples that they go to is Gopeshwara Mahadev. Has anybody been to Gopeshwara Mahadev?
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. Is it in
I have
Yes.
been.
Vrindavan? Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. I
Yeah,
have.
yeah. I just wanted to see, can you see that on the screen, Gopeshwara Mahadev?
Not yet.
No.
No.
Not yet. Okay, just 1 minute. I'm going to stop sharing and share again. Can you see that?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah,
Hare
this is
Krishna.
Gopeshwara Mahadev. It's a beautiful temple. It's slightly further away from Krishna Balaram Mandir, but it's certainly paying your obeisances to Gopeshwara Mahadev, because by getting his blessing, by getting his mercy, you are able to take darshan of Vrindavan. Gopeshwara Mahadev is also the personality who was protecting the Rasalila dance, where Krishna was performing with the gopis. He was protected, making sure nobody would actually enter the Rasalila dance, which is confidential dance with the Supreme Lord and the gopis. So these are beautiful pictures I took when I was in Vrindavan. This is Kartik time 2023. We were very fortunate at the time when we came. They were actually coming to the end of the arti. They were performing arti, and they were actually changing the outfit of Lord Shiva, Gopeshwar Mahadev, and they gave the garland to us as well. We were very fortunate. And just next door to Gopeshwar Mahadev temple is other temple of, this is Gopeshwar Mahadev dressed up in a gopi skirt. As we understand, I don't know the full story. I tried to dress up as a gopi to also enter into the Rasa Leela dance. This is a temple right next to the Gopeshwar Mahadev temple. Has anybody been here? So you mentioned some of you had. So if you do go to Vrindavan, it's within the Vrindavan town itself. Just have to take a rickshaw or a bike rickshaw to get to this particular temple. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. I took a bit longer time than expected, so forgive me, Sriji Kishore Mataji. I'll pass it on to you now. Oh, I forgot to mention, sorry, just one last thing. The gopis were also prayed to Katyayani for good husband. Katyayani is the Durga Devi, she's the husband of Lord Shiva. She's the wife of Lord Shiva. She's the form of courage, valor, purity, chastity as well. And when the gopis pray to her, they ask for courage and, of course, for her blessings. She's also known as the goddess Durga who actually killed a demon, Maheshvara, as well. Thank you. Hare Krishna, everyone. Forgive me for my mistakes as well.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much for a very nice class. Thank you, and for sharing all the beautiful images. Thank you. Namrata Mataji, please.
Mataji, I hope you don't mind. I'm just going to be excused. Some duties I've got to do. Thank you
Okay.
so much, everyone. Please have some humble obeisances. Mancha kalpatarubhyascha,
Patrubyascha kripa
kripa
sindhubhya eva
sindhubhyaivacha,
cha
patitanam
patitanam
pavanebhyo,
pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo
vaishnavebhyo
namo
namo namaha.
namaha.
Thank
Anantakoti
you.
Vaishnavrinda ki jai.
Jai Shama Bhagavatam ki jai,
Ki
Shama Prabhupada ki jai.
jai.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna, everyone.
Krishna.
Mataji. So for today's bhajan, we have our dear Hemlata Shundriyalal Mataji. She'll be singing a beautiful.
Namrata Mataji, we can hardly hear you.
Can you hear me now, Mataji?
No, you're very, very soft.
Oh, what's happened there? Right. Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
No, we can't hear you.
I don't know
Shall
what
I?
happened.
Oh, that's a bit better now. Yes, it's a bit better. So let's see, Mamta Mataji can share the verses of the bhajan, and then dear Shabin can read the English translation.
Yeah, Mataji, I think he's left because it was 8:30, right? So kids do go to sleep on time, right? So I think he's left now.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we can have a volunteer. Are you okay, Mamta Mataji, to share the
Yes,
verses, or
Mata.
shall I?
Just give me a minute, Mata. Just nearly there.
Sure. Okay.
Are we doing the same song?
Yes, it's the same song. Namrata Mataji, would you like to read the English
1 second.
translation?
Okay, Mataji, I can read. If you can
Yeah,
hear
just
me.
increase your volume a bit, please.
Yeah, Mataji, I'm through phone. That's why it's not working properly. Sorry.
Please bear with me. I'm just trying to get this one. Something happened, so. You know why it's not loading? God. So I think it's not. I'm having a bit of a problem loading the lyrics.
I can share the words, Mataji.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not allowing me
That's
to load.
okay. I'll do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, Mataji. I'll stop sharing, Mataji, with that first. Thank you.
Okay, Namrata Mataji, are you able to see the words?
All clear, Mataji. I can see it, yes. Bhajo Hure Nandana. Translation. O mind, just worship the lotus feet of the son of Nanda, which makes one fearless. Having obtained this rare human birth, cross over this ocean of worldly existence through the association of saintly persons. Both in the day and at night I remain sleepless, suffering the pains of the heat and cold, the wind and the rain. For a fraction of flickering happiness I have uselessly served wicked and miserly men. What assurance of real happiness is there in all of one's wealth? youthfulness, sons, and family members. This life is tottering like a drop of water on a lotus petal. Therefore, you should always serve and worship the divine feet of Lord Hari. It is a desire and great longing of Govinda Dasa to engage himself in the nine process of bhakti, namely hearing the glories of Lord Hari and chanting those glories, constantly remembering him and offering prayers to him, serving the Lord's lotus feet, serving the Supreme Lord as a servant, worshipping him with flowers and incense, and so forth, serving him as a friend, and completely offering the Lord one's very Hare Krishna. On to you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone. I'll start now. भजहूँ रे मन श्री नंद नंदन अभया चरणार विंद रे भजहूँ रे मन श्री नंद नंदन अभया चरणार विंद रे दुर्लभ मानव जन्म सत्संगे दुर्लभ मानव जन्म सत्संगे तरहाए भवा सिंधु रे भजहूँ रे मन श्री नंद नंदन अभया चरणार विंद रे शीत आतप वात वरीषण ये दिन यामिनी जागिरे शीत आतप वात वरीषण ये दिन यामिनी जागिरे विफल से बिनु कृपण दुर्जन विफल से बिनु कृपण दुर्जन चपल सुख लव लागी रे भजहूँ रे मन श्री नंद नंदन अभया चरणार विंद रे ये धन यौवन पुत्र परिजन इथे किया छे परती तेरे हे धन यौवन पुत्र परिजन इथे किया छे परती तेरे कमल दल जल जीवन टल मल कमल दल जल जीवन टल मल भजहूँ हरि पदनी तेरे भजहूँ रे मन श्री नंद नंदन अभया चरणार विंद रे श्रवण कीर्तन स्मरण वंदन पाद सेवन दास्य रे श्रवण कीर्तन स्मरण वंदन पाद सेवन दास्य रे पूजन सखे जन आत्मनिवेदन पूजन सखी जन आत्मनिवेदन गोविंद दास अभिलाष रे भजहूँ रे मन श्री नंद नंदन अभया चरणार विंद रे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone.
Hare Krishna. Beautiful singing, isn't it? Beautiful singing. Very nice. Thank you very much, Hema
Hari Bol,
Mataji.
Mataji. Hari Bol. Thank you, Mataji.
So, dear devotees, are there any final comments before we end the session? Okay, so let's all put our hands together. Let's say the Vaishnav prayer. Thank you so much, Namrata Mataji, for the English translation. Beautifully translated. Thank you. And thank you to Mamta Mataji for sharing the screens today, the Srimad Bhagavatam verses. And thank you all very much for joining our session today. Sorry, Prabhuji had to leave early today. He had visitors visiting today. So let's end the session with a Vaishnav prayer. Vanshakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
So we can stop the recording now. Mamta Mataji, please.